Hey, what's up guys, Khraze here and welcome back to another awesome day in No Man's Sky. Today we have a brand new update that fixes a lot of things that actually went wrong with Origins update, and even more important, it makes it much better now that all of these bugs have been fleshed out. So coming in fresh with a big new update 3.01 and 3.02 that have been recently released for all of the platforms. So let's jump right into it with all of these details, and as always, if you enjoy it at any point, a thumbs up on it would be super awesome. Now obviously, if you want to read these patch notes, I've left a link down below that you can follow for all of the patch notes on the official No Man's Sky website, but in the meantime I will concentrate on the ones that are more important. And starting with the first one, which was one of the first big bugs that was reported with the Origins update, and that was with people's bases getting buried underground as a result of the new planetary generation. And rest assured that that was fixed quite a while ago in update 3.01, and you should have the fix implemented right as we speak. And of course, all of the affected planets were also restored to their correct pre-origin state. And by the way, if you were wondering, this doesn't mean that your entire planet is getting reverted to the pre-origin state. Obviously, the new changes to the biome generation are going to take full effect on your planet too. It's just that your base will not be submerged anymore. And moving on to number 2, we have another important fix that also affected my game, and that is something that you likely also noticed, which is the fact that the game wouldn't perform any saves when trying to save it, either with a manual save like a beacon or a save point, either with an autosave like entering and exiting the ship. Well, it seems that this has been addressed in update 3.02, and not just that, the fix also seems to fully restore any affected save, though the question now that remains is, did the game save files in all of this time and we didn't see it displayed over there, or does this mean that Hello Games found another way to restore these save files? I think that the former is actually true, but let me know down below, are you seeing these save files being restored? Because in my case, I have overwritten them so many times it's not possible for me to determine how this actually comes into play. But in the meantime, let's move over to another fix that I'm sure many of you will be very happy about, especially those of you who had power grids already installed before the Origins update. So you likely realized soon after the new update that your power grids, the former ones that you already built, were not producing enough power as they did in the past to fully power up your entire base. And that was actually a pretty annoying bug that seemed to affected old power grids, so now in the new update 3.02 it should be fully addressed. Now if you are a new player that only now installed one of these power grids, then there's nothing for you to worry about, since the bug only affects the old power grids and not the new ones. Now if you somehow don't have this fix applied to your game, then your only workaround option is to delete the entire power grid and rebuild it for the ground up. And I've also heard from some players that just reconnecting them would also fix the issue, and you can just keep everything that's been installed, but for good measure I would suggest completely reinstalling everything from the ground up. Moving on to number 4, let's talk about a really awesome feature in the new update, which are these newly added robotic creatures. You've likely seen them, right, and probably even tried to tame them, but quickly realized that unfortunately they list the wrong requirement, which was the actual battery that is installable on your base and not the iron battery, which was supposed to be the correct item. Well, in the new update 3.02 that has also been fixed, and you can go ahead and tame these really beautiful creatures. It reminds me a bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, so that's why I like them so much. You can also ride them like pretty much any other creature, and once you give it to them, they will also produce some of these really cool wires. You might be thinking that these are unimportant, but you can break them down into nanotubes with your cooking refiner, so it could be a pretty decent way of just getting a number of these without having to farm for carbon and create the nanotubes. It's not a game changer or anything, but it's pretty fun to tame these creatures, to ride them, to have fun with them. The only thing that I kind of wish for these robotic creatures was that there were way bigger ones, like Diplo-sized big robotic creatures is what I would really love to see in No Man's Sky. But since we're still on the subject of creatures, let's also talk about some of the creature spawn fixes that were also addressed in the new update. Like especially there was a bug that counted extinct creatures towards your planet's total count in the local information register, so now if you go into your discoveries tab, you should see everything being listed correctly over there. And on the same note, new creatures being marked as extinct when freshly discovered should also also be a bug that is now fixed. Like previously, if you discovered something, it would somehow list it as extinct, even though it was clearly in front of you, still alive. So now it is fully fixed in the new update. And they also seem to have addressed incorrect creatures spawning in weird biomes, though I wasn't able to fully test this. Like, does this mean that there's now a bigger chance to find these cool new creatures on these weird biomes? Because in the previous patches, it definitely felt like I was going into too many of these cool new weird biomes, but they were spawning regular types of creatures. So if you have any idea, if you already saw this, please let me know down below, because I would really love to know. Moving on to number 5, we have some really awesome performance and crash fixes that many of you will be happy about, especially for the large bases. They have received a significant optimization in the new update, and of course PC players now have a really awesome fix for the frame rate stuttering issues. And I can report, especially for the PC version, that now it is way more stable than before. I'm having way less crashes, and of course I'm not having as much stuttering as before. Now admittedly, I have a really powerful PC, so that should also be a given, but before this patch I was having a ton of stuttering, especially when entering or exiting planet atmospheres or going into new kinds of places, and it was a little bit annoying, but yeah, that has also been addressed. Also on the crash side of things, some of these problems were also addressed. Like a few examples that we have right here is for NPCs that would take off from planets and they would cause a crash. That has been fixed. Another one, when being hit by projectiles from entities that were destroyed before the projectile got a chance to hit you. Then there's a third one for the soft lock when trying to buy a frigate in a specific star system. And finally, various other crash fixes for AMD GPU users. Moving on to number 6, speaking of really annoying bugs, one that I really hated in the previous patches was for the portal warp, especially the one with the sound bug. You would basically travel through the portal and it would have that really annoying sound effect persist until you actually closed off the game and restarted it altogether. I'm glad to say that that was fully fixed in the new update, and not just that, Hello Games also changed it a little bit, so now when you exit a warp there is a small damper that happens on the sound itself, and it kind of subdues really nicely over there so that it doesn't persist anymore. And I really hope that this is gonna be fixed for good, because this is a bug that kind of re-emerges with every new update. On the same note, there's other fixes, like for the PC and Xbox, we have an issue that was fixed with the build menu becoming inaccessible after going through a portal as a part of a mission. So this is a fix that only affects PC and Xbox at the current time, but it should also come to the PS4 soon enough, if it didn't already by the time this video gets posted. Now, if the update doesn't get posted by the time this video gets online, well, there is a workaround for PS4 users, which is to simply save and reload your game, and that should make your build menu now become accessible. And of course, the final fix for the portal bugs, we also had the coordinates being considered invalid for some of the new worlds. This should also be fixed in the new update. And speaking of the new update, I really love it. I think that this is one of the best updates we had in quite a while at this point, and we had a lot of big bangers in the past year as it is. I mean, Hello Games did a really amazing job at listening to the fanbase feedback and then implementing it in a really stellar way. And keep in mind that they did this for a whole year, so this is an update that has been in the works for about a year at this point, and all of that while still keeping a really good update cycle. Like, we had so many good updates in this year. We had the Living Ship, we had Exomech, we had Desolation recently, that all seem really amazing and very distinct from one another, adding new layers of gameplay to No Man's Sky. And somehow through all of this, they still consider Origins to be a small update, even though personally I would say that in the grand scheme of things, compared to what it changed, I would even dare compare it with updates like Next or even Beyond, since they fundamentally changed the way you play the game. It's not like a full overhaul, but it is significant enough to put it right up there with the top 3 updates that were added in No Man's Sky. And this is exciting because what happens in 2021 is likely going to be even more amazing. Again, my PS5 prediction is still standing true. I'm still expecting a PlayStation 5 upgrade eventually. There's no way now that we have all of these updates that Hello Games is not going to implement that into a new full PS5 release and upgrade that will take advantage of the platforms and the next generation. And of course, this will also apply to the Xbox if you were wondering too, since yeah, the game is released over there too. But thank you so much for watching. This has been all of the update for today. If you enjoyed this video at any point, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.